Hi, and welcome to the Boat Princess podcast. My name is Nicky Vaux, and I'm your host. I am a boat owner, a marina owner, a director on the Marina Industries Association, and a huge advocate for boating. In this series, I'm sharing the stories from every nook of the boating industry with the intention of encouraging more women to join me and for more women to get behind the helm too. I want to share the experience and opportunities of boating, of the boating industry, and I want you to join me as I bring the conversations and answer all the questions you've had. Boating is not just for the glamorous and rich and famous. It's full of beautiful and interesting people making the most of our natural environment and getting out there, enjoying the waterways. So let's set off the lines, take over the helm, and escape to the world of boating. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Boat Princess podcast. I am here with an amazing woman today. We are in Dubai and I am talking to Marcella de Kern-Roya. It's so good to have you here, Marcella.
Thank you so much, Nikki. It's so amazing to finally meet. I feel like we've been digital friends for such a long time that I feel like I know you already. And it's just so happy to finally meet you and of course have you here in this beautiful place in Dubai.
I know, it's a perfect place to have a boat show, really, isn't it? It's just perfect weather most of the time.
Exactly, and the vibes, everything is so modern and luxurious, and people have good energy, so yeah, it's fun.
I love it. So I think you and I have been very clever girls because we have created what we do. Now, before we get to what you do now, let's go a little bit further back to illustrate to our listeners the sort of things that you have done to get to where you are now. So let's start. Where were you born?
I was actually born in Guatemala. Do you know where that is?
I do. Yeah.
So it's in Central America, next to Mexico.
Yep.
So I used to go out boating every weekend because my dad loves sport fishing. So we do sport fishing for like sailfish, and we had like a yacht, like a fishing yacht, and we used to go every weekend out fishing, and we saw the whales, and it's very I would say virgin or something. It's the Pacific, so it's very big waves, black sand, volcanic sand. So we used to see every time we went out, we saw turtles and man rays and dolphins, and it's always like full of life. So I grew up boating in the coast of Guatemala. But I never really thought that there was an industry behind it, I never really thought about it,
Yeah.
It was just like a fun thing.
Yeah.
And boating in Latin America is very different than boating in the rest of the world.
Okay.
So you don't sleep on board a boat ever, you know. You just go out for the day fishing, diving, and then you come back.
Wonderful.
It's a day thing. You wake up really early, you prepare your bites, you prepare your day, and then you spend all day in the water.
Fantastic. So your passion for boating came right from your childhood.
Right. Actually, there's a fun fact I just remember that I forget. My grandfather, who was French, he was the first one to put a boat in a lake. So we had in Guatemala boats on the sea, of course, but never boating on a lake. Nobody has ever seen that before.
Okay.
And he was the crazy Frenchman who put like a boat in a lake. And then my dad grew up like water skiing, and the whole town will come and see what the French crazy family was doing. and then they were very, pioneers in that sense.
Yeah, that's great. So from there, how did you end up in Monaco?
I mean, that's a really long story, so I think we would need a couple of days and drinks to finish it. Let me try to think. Long story short, I graduated from high school and I wanted to learn French, so I went to Nice in the south of France.
Yep.
And then I got a scholarship.
Why did you want to learn French?
Because my family is French. My last name is Royer.
Yeah.
So I thought, I don't know, pick up the roots or something.
Yes, yeah.
So my grandfather used to speak French to his kids, but they always answered in Spanish. So I'm actually one of the only person in my family that speaks French now.
Okay.
And then I decided to go to Nice, learn French, and then I found a university in Monaco. Funny. and I would never, ever imagine. And I didn't even know that Monaco existed, to be honest.
Okay.
And I had no stereotype of Monaco. Like, everybody has a stereotype of Monaco, but me, I had no idea what it was, you know?
Yeah.
So I arrived, and then there was an American university, like an international university.
Yeah.
And I was about to start looking for universities, but I was applying in the U.S. because my brother studied in the U.S. And then I'm like, oh, well, American university down here. So I went to check it out. And long story short, I got a scholarship. So I literally started school from like 1 week to another because they were starting.
Yeah.
And between you and me, I thought that they never seen somebody from Guatemala before. So they just add me in for the data, the statistics, you know, international school,
adversity,
Guatemala,
yay.
one more country to the list, you know. So I was very lucky, and I got in and I got a scholarship, and then I studied in Monaco, but really randomly, I know. But I had no idea what I was doing. I was so young and so naive, and I was just so happy, like free university.
Yeah.
You know, like I was going to go to the US, which is super expensive. And then I just stayed in Monaco, but I was very naive. I had no idea where I was.
Yes.
You know, and I was just enjoying every second of it. And I had absolutely no stereotype, I had no idea, you know. So I just enjoyed my university years a lot. And then I studied finance, so the dream was to work in a big bank. And then, and then I graduated in 2008, which is the financial crisis.
Yes.
And
with
welcome
finance.
to the world, new finance students. Here you go. So that was my welcome to the professional world, which was horrible.
Yeah.
And as a non-European, I needed visa, sponsorship, papers. You know, it was very difficult. So I got my first job in an international bank, and then I got another job in an international company in Antibes.
Yep.
And then, the crisis hit. Everybody got fired, and I was like, great, you know. And then there was a company in Antibes who were opening up. They were like existing for a couple of years there, but they were looking for somebody to sell underwater lights.
Okay.
When nobody knew what underwater lights were.
Yes. Yep.
So I had the challenge to take on that, and they hired me just because of my languages.
Yes.
I speak French and English and Italian.
You
and
speak
everything.
six languages,
Yeah,
right?
I do.
Yeah. Oof.
So then I guess it was just the languages, and then I'm very thankful for that opportunity because they believed in me, and then that opened doors to the yachting world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to explain to the listeners, underwater lights for yachts was what you went into, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
everybody told me, "You crazy, Marcela, nobody's going to open a hole in the hole." So it's like selling ice to an Eskimo, right? It was like, it would never work, you know? And they were so expensive, you know?
Yeah.
They're really expensive.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So they're like, why would anybody spend on that? That's ridiculous, you know? So it was about creating the trend.
Yeah.
And then now I see the port in Monaco and all of the yachts at night with their underwater lights. It's so beautiful.
It's gorgeous,
and
isn't
I
it?
just wish I could go back to little Marcelita and be like, don't worry, darling, in the future, all yachts will have underwater lights. You know?
Exactly. This is just the
But
beginning.
like trying to make that work, which is an example for everything in life, right? When you start, it's so hard, and everybody's gonna tell you no, and you need to create the need, right? And everybody's gonna tell them they don't need it, it's not gonna work, you know. And then just don't take no for an answer, and just keep on going.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. For those of you not watching this on video, we are actually sitting on a beautiful terrace in Dubai, overlooking some incredible buildings. This one over there looks like it's a Big Ben takeoff, isn't it?
Yeah. It is the Big Ben. You see everything here.
And that's why we're getting a little bit of wind noise every now and then. So just bear with us. Just assume we're on a yacht. You know, you'll just take that approach with it. So tell me, once you're starting selling those lights, obviously you're meeting a lot of boat owners specifically. Are you at that point? Is that how you started really getting into that yacht space?
So I was mainly meeting a lot of captains and yachts that were going on refit. So I was trying to sell them the underwater lights during the refit, and a lot of new build shipyards. So I literally went to every single shipyard there is. I was living out of, I had a Mini Cooper at the time. And everybody was making fun of me because I was living out of my car almost, and I was just going from shipyard to shipyard to shipyard all over Europe, trying to sell underwater lights. So, and we launched just that year LED yacht, so I had to convince everybody, you need to remove your halogens. Halogen is bad. LED is the new thing. So, and then I came up with like new things. I organized one of the first like captains parties in Antibes. You know, I sponsored a lot of events, and I did like different things than others, always through connections, networking, building that side of it. So I was resilient, and I was just like, I was also having a lot of fun, to be honest. It was a great opportunity for me to do business in different languages. One day I'll be in a shipyard in France, then I'll be in a shipyard in Germany, then I'll be in a shipyard in Italy. And I always saw it as a challenge, you know. While I drive, I had it was CDs at that time. I had my CDs on like sales, you know, like, and psychology and the art of persuasion and all of these things. And I was just like, you know, I would drive really long. I would drive like from Nice to Napoli and then to Germany and then, you know, to all of the shipyards in the Netherlands and so on. So, I was always just learning and enjoying meeting new people and challenging myself. I'm like, how do I make a negotiation and close a deal in Italian?
Yeah.
You know, like what is the strategies? What is the techniques? You know, so I learned
because culturally they'd all be different, right?
It's completely
not
different.
Just the language.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
So that was one of the points. Is like everybody can do business, but doing business with different nationalities, it's really a skill.
Yes.
You know, and the way you close business with the Dutch is very different how the way you close business with the Italians or the English, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, the most challenging culture to deal with ever was British.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Very different from my culture, very different from everything I knew.
Yeah.
You know, and that was my biggest challenge, you know.
Less open, or what was the difference with them?
Yeah, like doing business with Dutch is very easy because they're very straightforward.
Yes.
So there is nothing to guess. Whereas with the English, there's a lot of reading between the lines.
Yes.
There's a lot of sarcasm. There's a lot of, oh yeah, that's brilliant. And they don't mean it, you know? And I'm like, do you mean it or you don't? Like, I don't understand this, you know? Are we doing business or not?
Yeah, they tend to circle around things,
yeah, they
don't
beat about around the bush. Yeah. They are sugarcoating everything. Yeah. So you think a meeting went great and actually was terrible. You know, and I was always feeling like they're not being honest, or they're, you know, like always with a different agenda, but with a big polite smile on their face.
And interesting.
I just find it very, very hard, you know? Yeah. It's like for French people, for example, they find that even rude, you know, that you're trying to, you know, say an insult in a nice sugar-coated way. Yes. You know? Yeah. And you're like, just... I'd rather be direct and tell me if there's a problem rather than, you know, try to be super polite over it. So also with the emails, I was never really understanding what they really meant, you know? I was like, Jesus, you know, I don't understand it. And also you need to understand their culture. You almost like need to wake up and read their news and watch their news before you have a meeting with them, because they assume the whole world knows what England is going, right? Okay. And then they talk about, you know, relevant subjects that only British people understand. Yes. And they tell jokes that only if you're a Brit you would understand. So some of the times I was sitting there, I'm like, I have no idea why everybody's laughing, you know? And I have no idea if this is supposed to be a joke or an insult, you know? Because they are very sarcastic. Yeah. And...
Because interestingly, the English do actually kind of take the mick out of themselves a little bit, don't they? And their humour is very dry and it's very different, and they kind of take the mick out of themselves a bit.
Exactly. So, and very yellow and very vulgar sometimes as well.
Oh, really? That's not good. That's not good.
Yeah. And like I just found like all the time the jokes were always about the same, and I was just like, it's about getting a bit old, you know? So
you experienced so many different
And in the south of France, we have, of course, a lot of British people, you know, like Antibes, Valbonne, all of these areas, and especially in yachting, the brokers and everything. There's a lot in captains. There's a lot of British, so you need to crack it up. You know?
You do. Yeah.
But you know, it's likewise. I suppose for British people, you know, cracking the Italians is difficult, or the Chinese, or the Middle Eastern, or the Russians. You know, it's difficult. It's like different cultures. You know, so one of the reasons I decided to do my MBA in Boston was because this was the most international school in the world. Yep. They have campuses all over the world, and they force you to rotate. Yes. So you have to study in 3 different countries, because it's not about learning the business acumen, it's about learning how to do business with different cultures. So they would sit you, and you will have to negotiate and debate with an Indian, with a Brazilian, with a Russian, and they will train you to deal. And sometimes they will actually like put you in hard situations, so they will put you in teams where you had to solve a case study. And then the lesson was not about solving the case study, but about solving differences and solving different opinions. And, you know, it's very like they know the international differences,
Yeah.
so they would put you in a position where you're like want to kill each other or you don't understand each other, and that's the lesson. And they're like, you see, this is like whenever you go into a meeting, you need to understand how the Indian person thinks, how the Russian thinks, how the and how to approach it, how to write a proper email, how to so that's the reason I did the MBA, was because everybody can learn the marketing, the business. I mean, nowadays you have everything online as well, so economics, marketing, everything, you can find it and read it yourself, but applying it to different cultures, that comes with experience. And that's why I did my MBA at Holt. The Holt is the most international school, and I actually studied here in Dubai as well.
Wow.
I did Boston, Dubai, London. I wanted initially to do Brazil and Shanghai, but I couldn't. So I mean, I think also in yachting we have, the top countries being Netherlands, UK, and Italy, and they are so different cultures. And sometimes I'm sitting in meetings and there's just so much lost in translation, so I had to develop also this sixth sense. I mean, we're women and we are international, so we have this like cultural awareness, cultural sensitivity. So I was able to pick up things and go tell my partners, I mean, like, this is going to be the game we play. This is going to be the strategy we apply. You have to be careful. This is that, reading body language, understanding cultural perspective, just getting the whole holistic picture before you make a contract, So,
I think we're quite good at that as women, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
We're better at reading people. And understanding.
Exactly.
It is definitely an advantage we have, using our intuition a little more
100%.
and our reading of people and kind of just assessing the situation a little bit more.
And being international, the more you travel, the more you become aware of things, and also I speak a lot of languages, so when you speak a language you understand their perspective as well. So I always said like different languages is like changing sunglasses, because I'm able to see this in a completely different perspective than with your glasses and with another glasses. So I saw this situation from all different cultures, and then I was able to make the right decision.
Amazing. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So Marcella, you've done all those wonderful education things. You've really educated yourself. You're an incredibly intelligent woman. Now you're in a world that you've kind of created for yourself. So you did the lighting business. Tell me about what you do now and why you do it.
I'll tell you the why first. So after I was a supplier, then I was a yacht manager, and then I was developing software for captains and yacht managers, and then I was the commercial director of a shipyard. So I've seen the industry for so many different perspectives, from a supplier, from a manager, from a captain, from an owner, from a, and then I've done new construction, and I've done with brokers and other shipyards, and I had the pleasure to meet with so many inspiring new owners and visionaries and yacht designers. And what I found throughout my career was that there was a discrepancy. Like, the designer doesn't really understand the crew on board, the crew really doesn't understand the shipyard have no idea what the brokers do, and I was like, wow, like there needs to be some sort of like, they kind of know what they do but not really. And also when I was, a yacht manager, I didn't know what, the difference between ISM, mini ISM, DPA, all of this meant. And I'm like, how do I learn? How do I learn? And then when I was at the shipyard, they're all naval architects and engineers, and they were all talking in terms that I had no idea what they meant. And I was like, I want to learn, I don't want to be there in the room not knowing what they're talking about. And I'm like, how do you learn? How do you learn about this, And there was nothing. I literally bought every single book there is. So I bought every book, and they're all about commercial shipping, sailboats, all these boat building books, but there was nothing about yachts. And then I contacted the shipyards, and I'm like, do you have like a yacht building guideline? I had no idea what the difference between commissioning, delivery, and launch were. I thought they were synonyms, and I was just like, what happens during a commissioning phase, and you cannot Google these things, like there is absolutely no information. So basically I developed something that I needed myself, and that I wish it existed when I joined the career. I was a hungry person willing to learn. I was taking into so many jobs, and then I was like, how do I learn, So I wished I had a book. I wish I had a course that I would take that would give me this confidence to know what does a yacht manager, a yacht agent, what do they do, how do you, the process of chartering a yacht, what's an APA, all of these things. I was like creating something that I wished I had.
So as with most businesses, you found a niche of a problem that exists, so something that doesn't exist that needed to exist.
Yeah.
So, and you created the education that you're providing now, which is just amazing. That's an awesome concept.
It happened all very organically, to be honest. It was never like, oh, I'm going to sit down and create a plan. It just really happened. And then on everything I do, I always try to do it like in the highest levels of excellence. So the book was under the, support of the Yacht Club in Monaco. So they helped me to launch the book. And I contacted the top 95 experts of the industry. So I made sure that it's really high quality. I mean, I had no references. There was like, when you do a research paper, you have a lot of reference books.
Yes.
In my case, I had no references because there was nothing I could use.
Yeah.
So it was all qualitative, qualitative data through interviews, questionnaires, and then I had to work with editors and graphic designers to put it all together.
Yep.
And then after the launch of the book, the Yacht Club asked me to teach.
Wow.
So I started to teach, and then different brokers, like big brokerage houses, they're like, can you teach my brokers? And then I decided, okay, I'm not gonna, go from company to company because I'm not a training company. I'm just gonna open a yachting masterclass, which is open to the public.
Yes.
And then I thought I would get a lot of brokers, but the funny thing is that I actually got 25% owners.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And like banks and family offices and I find in the industry there's always this big elephant in the room that nobody wants to admit that they don't know, and they don't want to be seen in something because they might be,
I get that.
which is stupid because it's better that you know than you pretend you know, but you don't want to admit it, So
Absolutely.
I found that there is this arrogance in ignorance, So you're trying to cover your ignorance with arrogance. So
that's a very good way of putting it, because the owners of a large yacht have been very successful in other areas of their life, right? So it's very hard for them to come to a place where they don't know anything, right? And they don't want to, like you say, they don't want to admit that. So
but also from their perspective, like the more owners I met, they were all complaining about the same thing, about the lack of education, lack of professionalism in the industry. I mean, we sell the most expensive luxury assets. It's more than a plane, it's more than a helicopter, so whenever you're dealing in aviation, whenever you're dealing, in big investments, these people are surrounded by top professionals, by very, very highly educated people.
Yes.
And then when they come to yachting, they would come to people that, never went to school. But it doesn't matter if you've been to school or not. It's all about your level of education and professionalism. And they were just always disappointed that this was lacking. So again, I thought, well, we need to increase education and the professionalism in the industry. So I made it my goal. My objective is to make the industry more
educated.
More educated, and also kinder.
Yes.
I don't know if how things are in Australia, but I found it in Europe. It was very harsh. It was very competitive,
Yes.
And you have to remember that yachting is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
We sell like the most fun experiences in the world. So I also wanted to bring the fun back,
I love that. That's great.
Well,
you certainly do that in your Instagram. You bring the fun back. You really do.
Yeah. I think that I like genuine people. I like authentic people. So, when you attract what you are, and I always say the best thing about my career and my life is that I meet the most incredible people, And I think it's because of the energy and the aura you have, So I tend to stay away from the industry as much as I can. Like I do go to boat shows, but I do not let my energy get consumed.
Yes.
Especially us doing social media, if you are always thinking what other people are thinking, you're done. So I try to kind of like always put that away and just do my thing with my personality, you like it or not, not everybody's going to like it. And of course it's difficult to juggle the fun with the being professional, to be honest. Sometimes I'm like, okay, should I be super fun, but then I'm not super professional, So it's always finding that balance, So I want to be professional, but I also want to keep it entertaining, because otherwise people are not going to follow and people are not going to be engaged, So,
Yeah. Well, I love what you do.
Thank you.
I really do. You're very engaging. As you say, you're very professional at the same time, but you have this kind of very open, honest feel to you on social media, and you're very, you're very expressive, and you're very. You can tell that you won't tolerate people being inappropriate in your world.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're just a gem to follow. You really are.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you have these little messages of, I guess, life lessons every now and then as well. Because dealing with all those different cultures and all those different people from all those different places, you'd learn so much about people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you really put that across in your socials, which is so lovely.
Yeah, and also it's an example for my daughter.
Yes.
And I don't know if you know, but I wrote a sailing book for children.
Yeah.
And in that sailing book, it's full with like sailing lessons, but also life lessons. It's a lot of morals and a lot about values. Is that, it's not about the pots of gold you find, but about the people you meet on the way and then what you give back. So protecting our ocean. So it's also about sustainability. It's also doing good. Doesn't matter how mean people can be to you.
Yeah, amazing. I love that. Okay, so you've given us the broad conceptual why of what you're doing, but tell me how exactly you're doing it.
Yeah, so to be honest, the books and the masterclass is my hobby. Like, I don't do this for money. It doesn't make enough money anyways. I just do it because of passion and because it's my purpose, and that's my way of giving back and my way of, giving education, open education for the people that want it. And in 2021, I opened the first digital marketing agency in Monaco for yachts. So we do a lot of marketing campaigns. So for brokers that want to sell a yacht, then they contact me and I create the business strategy on how to present the boat. I have a team of photographers, videographers, so we create all of the videos for them. And I do the press release, all of the PR campaigns, and we do videos that are optimized for social media, because most people would always do like a video for a website or something, whereas I do a video for Instagram, for YouTube, for TikTok, in different formats, and I create a lot of content out of that can be used in their social media platforms. So actually, a lot of those videos you see around online are made by my team.
Yep.
So I'm not always in them. Sometimes they ask me to be the host, and I would present a yacht if needed.
Yep.
But I also do it with other hosts or with the broker or so on. So I have my marketing agency, and then I'm not a broker, but I do some yacht sales and some yacht charters for family and friends and qualified clients. So yeah, it's a mixture between, inspiring people, educating people, entertaining people, and bringing newcomers to the industry, people that never chartered before. I push them to go and try and charter. People that want to buy a yacht, I help them through their yachting journey.
Yep.
So yeah, a combination of this, and it's always evolving, it's always changing. Now I bought my secondary home here in Dubai, so I'm going to be based between Monaco and Dubai.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
You poor thing. Monaco and Dubai.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, so I'll be doing a lot of things here as well, working on some projects, digital softwares as well for charter.
Okay, amazing. So you're running that marketing agency, and you've got a team you do that with,
Yeah.
obviously.
Mm-hmm.
They're based in Monaco and Dubai, or how does that work?
They're mainly based in Monaco, and now they're here for the boat show. But depending where I go, either we fly with my team,
Yep.
or I get a videographer in Fort Lauderdale if we have to, or I work with all different photographers, like depending on the budget.
Yep.
Depending on the yacht. So depending on the yacht, then if it's needed like super high quality, then I'll work with like the top super yacht photographer. So I work with everybody.
Okay, cool. And that's great, because you're bringing a really modern take to the marketing to the boating industry, because the boating industry is catching up on that compared to some other industries, I think. Do you think the same?
100%. It's like 20 years behind. You
Yeah.
know? So that's my challenge. It's like I feel like sometimes I'm like in Jurassic Park. Really. And I'm just like, oh my God. But I know that it's going to come. So I'm like, okay, all right, wait till and see. It's like, but it's just so hard to convince people that to change the way they've always been doing things, right?
Yeah.
Like they've been doing it for years like this, and they're scared of social media. They're scared of the new generation. They don't understand it, and when you don't understand it, you just like avoid it, and they're like, I'm like, how are you selling this yacht? And they're like, I'm doing this. I'm like, this doesn't work. And they're like, oh yeah, but I've been doing this for years. And I'm like, whoa, have you seen the world changing? Hello, we're in 2023.
Yeah.
You know, like you cannot continue doing things the same way and expect different results, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely. Yeah, no, it's so true. And I'm glad you're bringing that to the boating industry. I really am.
it's been a challenge, to be honest.
Yeah.
It hasn't been easy.
Yeah. We're actually in Dubai at the moment, and I don't know if you can hear it, but I can certainly hear it in my ears. There's some fabulous, very Dubai music in the background, which is kind of giving a little bit of an atmosphere to this podcast, because we're sitting up on a beautiful terrace. It's an amazing sunny day, and we are in the heart of Dubai. So what are you looking forward to at Dubai Boat Show, Marcella?
So the Dubai Boat Show has grown exponentially over the past years. In fact, the yachting in this region has just grown about 23% every year. But last year we've seen it even more. So more and more yachts are coming to the region, and the yachting industry itself is growing. They're investing a lot in marinas. They're investing a lot on activities to do for yachts and experiences. So I haven't been to the boat show, of course, because of COVID, and so for 2-3 years I think I missed it. So I'm looking forward to go and see it, and of course see all the new faces again and pick up the vibe.
Yeah, I've never been to Dubai Boat Show, so I'm very excited to go there this week.
Yeah.
And I know I'm getting the vibe that it's going to be a bit more sort of, you know, what like Dubai is, a bit more sort of show-like, a bit more, you know, than just your average boat show.
Yeah, they have
around.
a diving area, which other boat shows don't have. So they have like a diving pool. They have everything for diving as well.
Yeah.
Which is quite fun. They have a lot of activities for kids, so you can actually go kayaking and paddling. So it's all about water sport fun, you know. So again, bringing the fun, which is, I love it. You know, it's like you don't need to be always stuck up. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have like a Nicky Beach pop-up, for example, you know, and they have great restaurants, and it's a night show, so it starts at 3 o'clock until 9 p.m.
Yes.
You know, so they do a lot of the night vibe as well, the sunset on the boats, you know, so it's very different from any other boats. And I don't know for you, but I find boat shows really exhausting because you start super early, especially if you're an exhibitor.
Yep.
You know, it's like you start super early, and then you still finish super late, and there's always like a networking, cocktail parties and so on.
Yep.
So after 3 days you're just done, right? You're just like, oh my God. And you're also so much behind work, you know.
Yes.
You missed work, you missed emails, you missed everything.
Yep.
So you always feel like you're catching up, and even after the show finishes, you're still exhausted for like weeks, you know.
Yeah.
And but I like the fact that it starts late, because then in the morning you do your work, you do your emails, you know, done. Yeah. And then you actually get to enjoy, spend time with clients and friends, and you know, I find that it's a lot smarter. Also for the heat, I suppose, you know.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense in Dubai to have it in the evening.
But,
I also think the boats look prettier at night.
Yeah.
You know, they're all lit up. They've got those underwater lights on them.
Yes.
And they just look absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
So I think having a boat show in the evening makes so much sense.
Yeah, and I mean, boat shows are usually in hot places like, you know, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and so on.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think making the night version, it's great, because also you get the night vibe, you know. So I really like the format of the show. It's a long show though, 5 days.
Yes.
You know, it's very, very long. And it's not a big show, you know. It's like you can see it all in 3 days. It's not like Miami. Like Miami, you could never see the whole boat show. Impossible. You know, it's like, it's massive.
Yes.
You know, Fort Lauderdale also, it's huge. You know, whereas here you can really see it all in a day.
So, what's your favorite boat show?
Palm Beach.
Palm Beach.
Mhm.
Okay. What do you love about Palm Beach?
So classy, so elegant. It's easier to meet clients. It's just very elegant, big space, you know, and I love Palm Beach.
Yeah.
I love Palm Beach.
Yeah.
I mean, Miami is crowded, it's hot, it's huge. Your feet hurt so much. You're sweating, you know. I also like Fort Lauderdale a lot, but it's also very, very big.
Yeah. And Monaco Boat Show is very
course.
different to the others, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's my home, right?
Yep.
So I have a very different experience than everybody else. I mean, I still have to wake up, bring my daughter to school, and
Yep.
prepare lunch and do my standard routine, right?
Yeah.
And people are there like on a party holiday, work, intense mood, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, And also, the traffic, it's horrible. I hate it.
Yeah.
I cannot even drive my own car. I have to ask my husband to drive me around, or there is no taxis.
Yeah.
So I walk a lot during the show. So for me, it's really exhausting, and it really drains me. Because it's my home thing. So I'm usually a speaker at various events. I have so many clients, and they all want me. It's not that I can tell them, oh yeah, I'll introduce you to somebody. They're like, I want to see this boat, and I want to walk the show with you, and I want to, and I'm like, and
which is a compliment in itself, right?
Yeah, it is, but I cannot do it all. I cannot do it all. So for me, I just feel like I need to clone myself into 10 during those days, and then I'm exhausted, and then I have to pick up my daughter to school, bring her to bed, put dinner, and then go out again to the networking events and so on. So. I guess for some people that don't live there, it's exciting. It's like, oh, let's go to Monaco,
Yes.
But for me, it's like stuff.
So those moments that you have on Instagram that you put together, I've always got this great vibe. They're very happy. They're, really focused on how exciting and wonderful yachting is. Do you have to put yourself into a mindset when you do that, or are you there anyway because you're on a boat? So that's how you feel.
It's just, that's the yachting effect. Whenever you're in a boat, just everything just melts off, And I guess, I don't know, being a Latin person, we always have this like positive side of things, We're always trying to look at the positive things. So yeah, I just collect my energy from the waves, the sun, the nature, and then the beautiful design. And I really like to learn about who's the designer, who's the shipyard, the technology on board, the propulsion system. And I'm just so fascinated because I know the suppliers that went behind it. I know how hard everything is. I know the craftsmen that did this piece of wood. I know how hard I really appreciate every single thing on the boat, because I can put it apart and I can tell you exactly, how is it made and who made it. And I'm so proud of the people behind it, and I know how long it takes and how complicated things are, because everybody thinks it's just beautiful, but there's so much engineering behind it. There's so much technical stuff. There's so much research. It's very difficult. So I'm there and I'm just like enjoying every single moment. And I hope I can transfer this feeling to my viewers and to the people, and inspire them to go boating, to try it as much as you can. And when I ask yacht owners how often they use their yacht, and the answer is always not just as much as I would like to.
Yes, yes,
but
so
they
true.
don't use, so they like to see my content because it reminds them. Everybody tells me, whenever I see your content, I'm always smiling, and that makes me happy. It's because people that love boats, they're maybe in their cities, in their work, and then they see it, and then it reminds them of their feeling of being in a boat, and they like it. So yeah.
And having that knowledge of the boats, of the yachts, really gives you so much that you can cover, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so on that note, you obviously know a lot of manufacturers and a lot of different types of boats. Well, do you have some favourites?
No, not really, because they're all very different.
Yeah, they are very different,
I
aren't
would
they?
even dare to say that there is no competition in yachting. Like, if you know what you want and how you're going to use your yacht properly, there is probably 1 or 2 shipyards for that category.
Yeah.
So depending on what you want, your budget, the destination, how you're going to use it. Not all shipyards do custom. There's only very, very, very few yachts that would do custom. Not all shipyards do custom sailboats. Only 2, 3 really big ones would do it. Not all of them. Like, if you want a production boat, it depends on the style that you want, and there's only a handful. So I would dare to say there is absolutely no competition. And if there is a favorite of mine, not really.
I'm the same. I have a number of number of ones I really like, but
Yeah.
but they're all so different for such
different.
different purposes.
Yeah.
So it really is wonderful that you can, you can when you're not when I used to broker boats, obviously I was focused towards one brand because I was brokering a brand, but when you're not, it's kind of lovely that you can just say to people, well, if that's the use you're looking for, then probably one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really exciting like that, isn't it? There's so many to choose from.
Yeah.
And say, I think this would be great for you.
Yeah.
Go and check that out, but also compare it to this.
Yeah.
And all those sorts of
And
things.
I'm also a consultant for shipyards, so I also do business development and strategy for certain shipyards. And I always tell them the same. I say, don't try to compete with other people. Build your own niche.
Yeah.
Build something that is uniquely to you, and stop worrying about what the others are doing and copying what the others are doing. It's like once you set up yourself as a aluminium fast displacement boat, that's it. Stick to it. Stop wanting to build now in steel or whatever, and vice versa. If you are a I don't know, like a production type of builders where you have your technical platforms and everything, stop wanting to do custom, because your numbers are not going to add up, you're not going to be able to do the economies of scale, and then, the risk that it takes to build custom, and you're not prepared, you don't have the whole infrastructure and resources that you need for it. So I always say stick to your niche, because that's what makes you special. If you want this type of boat, if you want a 100-meter plus yacht, you go to Lurzen.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you get one or two quotes from somebody else, but still they're not going to be suitable for what you need, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that. So you can give people real advice of where to go.
Yeah.
And so with the courses that you're doing and so on and so forth, what do you love? So somebody comes to your course. What do you love when they finish that course? What's the feedback they give you?
They say, I've been in the industry for 37 years. I thought I knew everything, and I'm mind blown about how much I learned. And this is true. Everybody, you don't know what you don't know.
No.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what you know, but you don't know what you don't know until you see something, until you learn, and you go, oh wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And they're able to see a different perspective. So a charter broker would be like, wow, I didn't know this about yacht design, or I didn't know specifically about this maritime law or classification, or this aspect on the crew. So, and this is information you cannot read, you don't find it anywhere, you cannot Google it. So it's very unique insights, and even if you've been in the industry, you see the industry from a different perspective, and then you're a very different person, because you're able to have this 360 awareness of everything that goes around the yacht, all of the different professions around the yacht. So on every class I have a guest speaker, so you will have a marine lawyer, and then you will have a charter broker, and then you will have a shipyard, and then when you have a yacht agent, and you will have a captain, and they will all tell you their perspective, and you go like, whoa, I never really thought about this.
Yeah.
And how everybody sees it in their own way. And then we like a day in the life of a surveyor. What are your challenges every day? How is your day looking like? A day in the life of a chief stewardess, and a engineer, and a naval architect, and a designer, and the project manager, and the flag person. And then when you see their whole perspective, you're like, wow, it's so interesting. I knew what they did, but I never really know how their day looked like, or their challenges look like. So everybody's always like, mind blown and impressed that they learn more than they thought they would.
I love that.
So I even get people saying, I should not say this to you, Marcela, but it's very cheap compared to how much you learn. Because you get 66 hours.
Yeah.
It's a 2.5 months. It's like really you learn a lot. It's very, very comprehensive. And I went to these universities in the US, so I studied in Boston, I studied in Miami, I studied in Louisiana. So I have this very American mindset of learning that is more practical. It's like they call it yachting for dummies. I try to break it down, because even if people know, deep down they don't know. If I ask them to explain to me, propulsion systems and displacement and the different types of arrangement and the 2-tier engine rooms and stuff like this. They kind of know, but they are not able to teach it. And I make sure that they repeat what they learn so that they are able to teach it. So that when they are on board a yacht, they have the right terminology, they have the right wording, and they really digest, So I teach engineering and naval architecture, which for non-technical people can be daunting. I teach it in a way that I break it down to pieces, They say, oh yeah, this is a very efficient yacht with high levels of comfort. And I'm like, stop. What does a high efficiency hull means? Okay, we break it down. What does comfort really means? And to be honest with you, depends who you ask. They will all give you their own definition of comfort. An engineer, a naval architect, a shipyard project manager, a captain, and an owner will all have their own version of comfort. So I try to bring all of this together to give you the whole point. And I try to make sure you really understand in a fun way. In a fun, engaging way, and I ask you to repeat it. And I say, what did you just learn? And it's funny because you think you understood it, It went inside your brain, but putting it in your mouth, that's when it's gonna stick, So I always challenge my students. I'm like, what did he just said? And they go, wait, And it's the fact that you have to process it into your mouth. You're sending signals from your neurons to your tongue. This is when you're going to learn, and it's going to stick forever. Because otherwise, you go to all of these conferences, so boring. It's monologue, one person talking for 2 hours. You have no idea. You didn't learn anything. You wasted your time.
I love that.
It's true. It's so true.
She's a straight talker, our Marcella, isn't she? She really is. So
unapologetically.
And that's what we love about you, darling. So where do you see the future of yachting going for you? Where do you think your direction is now ongoing?
I have no idea, but I'm excited.
Hey, we love that.
I have no idea because, to be honest, this past 2 months in Dubai, I've been inspired by so many things, and I've been meeting so many different people, and I have so many ideas. So it's all about, trying to, put my own strategy together. I definitely want to do something new. So I have some ideas. I'll let you know as soon as I go. But I'm working on some projects right now, and I'm just trying to kind of like put all of the pieces together before I launch it. So yeah, I'm working in some ideas so that you are able to have experiences on yachts differently. Because let me explain to you how the system works right now. It's like you want to charter a yacht, you call a broker. I want to charter a yacht. Which yacht do you want? You don't really know what you want.
Of course you don't.
What yacht? What is your budget?
Yeah.
You don't know.
No.
And the system is like this. What itinerary? What do you want to eat?
Yeah.
And it's just so many uncertainties and people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I'm doing things where you don't even have to think about it. It's like, this is the experience. The yacht is just a commodity.
Yes.
It doesn't matter which yacht you want.
No.
It's like I can give you examples and I can inspire you, and then you can book the experience and not the yacht.
Yeah. Because at the moment when you charter a yacht, you pick the yacht supposedly, and that's a certain price for X number of X amount of time. And then they add on the APA?
Yeah.
Which everybody gets very confused about as to how much that actually is going to be.
Sometimes it's 20%, sometimes it's 30%, but 30% on a 500,000 euro boat, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you're never able to plan.
No.
So I think like the whole system is not right.
Yes.
And I find like new generation, they want like no-brainer.
Yes.
We're
tick
easy,
the box.
we're easy to get things done.
Yeah.
So I'm working on some projects for that, which I already have some.
That's very exciting. I'm excited about that because we discussed that on a super yacht charter we did ourselves up in Thailand on Xanadu, beautiful boat, and we discussed that exactly, that it's quite complex, the system, and these days we're all time poor. We all just want to know how much it's going to cost us, where we're going to go, and what we're going to do. Right?
I mean, it's ridiculous. You call a broker, it takes 2-3 days to answer you.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't know which yacht is available.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't know if it's available. Why not?
Yeah.
We have the technology to know availabilities. It's like not knowing if you have a space in a British Airways flight or not.
Yes.
There is technology nowadays that it tells you that which seat is available.
Oh,
why are you not having this? Why don't we have this? The technology is there.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
so
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, exactly. So in a way, the fact that the industry is a Jurassic Park, it's good for me because that gives me opportunities to innovate, right? That gives me opportunities to be the pioneer. That gives me the opportunities to start something new. So to be honest, I really don't know where I'm going, but I'm excited.
Yeah, so am I. I'm excited to see the journey.
Yeah. It's all about enjoying the journey as well. You know?
Yeah.
Keep on telling this to my husband because we've moved places, we've lived in different countries, we start our own businesses, and it's always so difficult, and you always feel like you're running and running and running.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have goals, you know, but often we find that once you reach the goal, you're like, okay, what's next? You know what I mean? So I always tell him, stop, let's enjoy the fact that we're doing this, you know, the fact that you love what you do. I love what I do.
Yeah.
And this is what matters, you know, is that it doesn't matter if we're there yet. We have this joke, are we there yet? Not yet. And we keep on singing that to each other. And my daughter says it as well. Are we there yet? Not yet. And I think we will never be there yet, you know, but we try to enjoy the ride.
I love that. So just like yachting, it's not about the destination. Exactly. It's about the journey. Exactly. Yeah. Awesome. So before we leave, just what would you tell to the women out there that are contemplating getting into the yachting industry and that sort of space? What would you say to them?
So unfortunately for women, we have to do job twice. You know, first you need to prove yourself. You need to get the respect. You need to put you in a different level that they say, oh, wow, okay, she's smart. Smart cookie. Oh, she's not just a pretty face. Oh, you know, first you need to get that face, and then you need to do the job, right? And men, they don't have to do this, right? So I think educate yourself, because once you are speaking in the right boating terminology, you sound educated, you sound professional, you know the data, you know the facts, you can go there with numbers and statistics and this and this and this and that, then you're putting yourself in a completely different game, right? And second advice I would say is like, don't be afraid to negotiate. I mean, I'm sick and tired of women being afraid to negotiate, you know, like they're always like, I have friends that are like, oh, I need to, you know, negotiate my salary, but I'm just going to wait until they offer it. You don't get, you know, like what's the saying is like, you don't get if you don't ask.
That's it.
You know?
Yep.
And they're like, all women I meet, they're all afraid of asking. Don't be afraid, you know? I'm very lucky because my dad is very feminist and my husband is very feminist, so they both push me, you know. And my husband is like, if I'm making this amount of money, you should be making the same or more because you're as smart as me, you know. And I never thought I would. I was always trying to be a bit conservative, a bit modest, you know. The funny thing is that he's like, what do you have to lose? So, you know, when I went to a job interview, he's like, what is your salary expectation? I'm like, it's this. Why? Because I speak languages, I have an MBA, because this and this and this and this and this and that. And once you're confident, you get it.
Yeah.
You know, but if you are like, oh, you know, trying to be a little bit, you know, and I find, and all my friends, they call me before their job appraisal or, you know, job interview, because I boost them up, you know, because I'm like, you go, girl, come on, know what you're worth as well, because we are always a bit like, you know, it's not them not giving you the opportunities, sometimes also you not believing enough in yourself, you know. Yes. So I always tell women to have this confidence of just go, you know, and do it, you know. So first educate yourself, read the book, take the masterclass. I'm joking.
You're not joking. It would be a very good thing to do.
Read as much as you can, learn as much as you can, don't be afraid of asking questions, and then, you know your worth and just go there, you know. And it's difficult, especially for young women, you know, in the industry, because sometimes they just see you as, you know, the marketing girl or the assistant, or, you know, you're just there supposed to smile and look pretty, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know. And actually being a woman is your superpower.
Yes.
I find being a woman will open doors that men could never open, and you just need to know how to be smart about it, you know, like get respected, and just surround yourself also with powerful women, you know. In my career, I've never been disrespected or diminished or not given the opportunity by a man. I find like if I look back, 1 or 2 times that I felt like somebody, you know, tried to push me down was another woman.
Yeah, that
unfortunately.
can happen. Yeah.
So we're all talking about feminism and women opportunities. Well, first let's start by helping and lifting other women.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And this is what I do with my initiative of Women in Yachting. It's an initiative to support, thrive, and help. And I bring other women up, you know? And I think that when two women are together, working towards a goal, they are unstoppable.
Absolutely.
And so we just need to stop this competition and stop this, like, I don't know how to call it. And like I said, I've never not been given an opportunity because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
No.
I love that. We're finishing on a moment of, if you're being a woman is your superpower.
Exactly.
And yeah, don't be that woman that puts other women down.
Exactly.
Lift them up instead. That's
Yes.
absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you
You
so
rise,
much.
You rise by lifting others.
Absolutely. Yeah, rising tide lifts all boats.
Thank
love
you, Nikki.
it. Oh, it's a pleasure. It's been lovely having you, Marcella, here. Tell me, how can everybody find you online?
So my website is onboard.mc. On Instagram is onboard.mc if you want just to see boats, just boats. And then my personal one is onboard with Marcella, and that's where you see more of my personality and my personal life as being a yachting consultant and being on the water. And then I have a YouTube channel, Onboard with Marcella, where I post walkthrough videos, so all about yachts. And then I have a blog, and on LinkedIn I post a lot of articles. So yeah, I mean, please, I invite you to my community, and would love to welcome you on board.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Marcella. It's been lovely talking to you, and we'll see you on the water.
Have a fantastic show, Nikki.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Boat Princess podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you'd like to know more about what I do and where I am, then you can follow me on Instagram at The Boat Princess. You can also sign up to my newsletter on my website, which is theboatprincess.com. Take care of yourselves, everyone, and hopefully we'll see you on the water soon.